I'm very thankful to be here, and I'm going to talk about gaming, which isn't yet an area of advance at Chalmers, but will soon be, I guess. And since I like to game systems, I can represent whatever combinatory thing you want out of these things. We're already a bit behind schedule. I'll try to let you leave for coffee when you're supposed to. I have this slide to argue a bit about why it's interesting to talk about games. I think I don't need to do that much, because many people already have done this in previous presentations, talking about how games are used as examples to solve problems, to exemplify how things work. And you also know that the gaming industry is quite big nowadays. I've talked to many companies who are kind of annoyed at the gaming companies because they steal the best students, because that's where they want to work. But I guess you also recognize many of these people here. If you're into math or physics or computer science, you can recognize several of these people, and they have done game research. In some cases, it's difficult to see where they're doing their own subject, as we know them, or are they doing game stuff and so on. So games also inspire the work in many domains. I'm going to talk about 3 different examples of what kind of research both Chalmers and Gothenburg University do regarding games. But you've already seen a couple of them, and there are more, so these are just 3 examples. I'll start with myself. I've done a lot of work on gameplay design and how one can think about what's possible in a game. That's a design-oriented subject. For those of you who are in programming or in architecture, you probably know about design patterns. That's what I've been working with for games. So I've been developing a big collection of concepts to be able to talk about gameplay. I'm currently working with people in software engineering, developing tools to see how we can combine these software approaches with more tools to support early requirement elicitation. But I think this is also important if you think about automation in general. Because what are the humans supposed to do in the systems? How should they be given interesting things to do? That's actually what you think about when you're doing games. So it can help thinking with that. And even more important, probably, game designers need to think about how people will be trying to abuse systems, to use systems for their own gain. A game which doesn't handle that won't work. And if we're going to automate a lot of systems, we're going to have that problem for all those systems. We need to start thinking in this way as well. The second example is from Ulfa Sasson, a colleague of mine, who works with presenting images, building from a model and rules. How do you present a realistic view of something, which is super important for us to understand information, of course. How can we use lighting? How can we use shadows to do realistic representations? How can we get a lot of information in this? How can we make something which is very similar to reality? But of course, you need good models to do that also. So they're actually working with how one can create models. For example, using the Connect system to gather information. But we've seen other examples of how you can use LiDAR systems to create point clouds and so on. But we need to use these kind of technologies if we're going to understand all the data we have around us, or if we're going to create virtual environments. And the technology developed for gaming is one way of doing this. My third example is from my colleague, Marco Frattangeli, who's sitting here. He works with computer animation, and more specifically optimizing physics-based animation. So you can see the 2 videos here showing things behaving naturally. The only thing is that Marco doesn't try to do it so it's realistic, because then you can't do it in real time currently. And even if you can in a couple of years, he would want to have more things in there, so you couldn't do it then. So he's looking at how can we do things which we perceive as believable, realistic, because that might be more important actually in several types of applications. And if we have those options, we can think about, do we need a realistic system or a believable system? There is a scale in between there. So we have design options. Both Ulf and Marco are working with different industries doing things here, and the previous presentations have shown collaborations also. What is GU and Chalmers doing regarding these collaborations with industry besides that? Well, in one sense, we've had a game education for the last 15 years. We have quite a lot of courses which relate to games, gaming technology. Gothenburg University is going to start one next autumn. And we do have alumni working at many or most of the Swedish gaming companies and several international ones as well. And they do have these senior roles. So we do have a sort of collaboration yet. Well, yet already. But we're working on doing it even more in the future with the different collaborations we have. That's basically my talk, so you can get your coffee quickly. Thank you.